Tonight on Newswatch, a new lawsuit alleges the City of Ironton zoning code violates federal law.
Plus, PassionWorks prepares for its annual Honey for the Heart parade.
And in sports, it's the last week of high school football's regular season. Get a preview on this week's 2-minute drill. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Charlie Ehlenfeld.
And I'm Parker Davis. Welcome to Newswatch. We're nearing Halloween weekend here at Ohio University. And Emily, we want to know if the weather will match the Halloween feel.
Well, as you know, today was very much in the Halloween feel. We were sitting comfortably about 54 right now with those clear skies. So in my opinion, that definitely screams Halloween. Now, overnight tonight, we will be seeing those temperatures drop pretty significantly. And we do have a frost advisory and a freeze warning issued throughout various parts of the state. So if you have any plants that are outside that are sensitive to those cold temperatures, definitely want to bring them inside. Now, overnight, last night, we had those temperatures in the upper 30s. And during the day today, we saw them start to pick up and rise. And so we're seeing those low 50s throughout parts of the state. And we're going to be seeing that go later on this week. But for tonight, we'll be seeing those conditions really drop down pretty cold, about 32 degrees, which is our freezing temperature, excuse me. And that's why we're seeing that frost advisory and that freeze warning issued. Now, we are expecting those advisories and warnings to be let up around 9 a.m. tomorrow, but definitely expect a chilly morning. So you're going to be wearing your coat when you're heading off to work. Maybe take a couple of extra minutes to make sure any ice is scraped off of your car. Now, tomorrow will be nearly identical to today. We have that high of 57 degrees, another overnight low of 32, so we can expect another frost advisory and freeze warning issued throughout various parts of the state. We are expecting to see mostly sunny skies. So happy Friday. Any football games coming up, you're definitely going to want to grab a jacket.
Thanks, Emily. A lawsuit against the City of Ironton alleges sections of its zoning code illegally discriminate against people in recovery from alcohol or drug use. The lawsuit was filed last week in federal court by the owner of a group recovery home located in a residential neighborhood in the city. Earlier this year, the city filed criminal charges against the owner. The case is now on hold until the lawsuit against the city is resolved. The lawsuit against the city challenges several sections of the city code, arguing they violate Federal Fair Housing Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act.
All month long, PassionWorks Studios has been preparing for the Honey for the Heart parade. Newswatch reporter Charlie Lusk is at their central studio to break down the costume making.
Yeah, today is the final day of preparations by PassionWorks Studio for the Honey for the Heart parade on Saturday. Earlier this week, I got the pleasure to pop into the studio to observe the preparations.
This really is our love letter to the university and the city of Athens. This is, they've embraced us so much and they support us in so many different ways.
That seems to be the prevailing attitude at the central venue as PassionWorks Studios prepare for one of the biggest events of the year. PassionWorks Studios waits all year for October to roll around so they can begin creating costumes for the Honey for the Heart parade. This year, their theme is Inside the Garden, and what David Debbie says is emblematic of PassionWorks Studios.
We love color, we love spontaneity, and a garden is a place of so much, a mosaic of kind of colorful chaos. And that's very much in line with the PassionWorks aesthetic.
All month, PassionWorks employees, volunteers, and community members alike have gathered to create costumes, making this a very popular spot for learning communities at Ohio University to bring students for enrichment.
PassionWorks is a really good place where people can come and volunteering looks great when it comes to social work. And I think it teaches valuable lessons of giving back to the Athens community.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Charlie Lusk.
All of which and more goes into the preparations for the Honey for the Heart parade that starts on Saturday. The festivity starts at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday on East Carpenter Street at the central venue, kicking off Halloween weekend in Athens. Back to you in the studio.
Lawmakers passed the 1981 death penalty into law. Now almost half of them have signed a letter calling for repeal. It passed with bipartisan support after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Ohio's previous capital punishment law in 1978. More than half of the lawmakers have died since, but 27 of them indicate that Ohio's death penalty system is utterly broken, can't be fixed, and should simply be abolished. University of Akron professor Marge Coused says the money spent on the death penalty, from the initial cost of capital indictment to the expense of the trial to the guaranteed appeals process, are very high with no benefit in exchange.
The Ohio House passes 2 bills to provide $2 billion in property tax relief to Ohioans. House Bills 186 and 335 would cap property tax revenue and limit the amount of increase to GDP growth from year over year. These bills have drawn criticism from school groups who claim the bills would result in the loss of 20,000 teachers, approximately 20% of the state's teaching workforce. The bills passed the House with a large majority. Every opposition vote came from Democrats, though some crossed party lines to support the measure, and now the bill goes to the governor's desk.
In the midst of a federal government shutdown, the U.S. government's gross national debt hit over $38 trillion today. This record number highlights the accelerating accumulation of debt on America's balance sheet. It's also the fastest accumulation of $1 trillion in debt outside of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Treasury Department reports updates the nation's daily finances. This also increases pressure on American taxpayers. The national debt eclipsed $37 trillion sooner than pre-pandemic projections. The Congressional Budget Office's January 2020 projections had gross federal debt eclipsing $37 trillion after the fiscal year 2030.
Tomorrow is the first time some federal workers miss a paycheck. That's after receiving a partial one on the last payday. Some lawmakers are now trying to help. They want to appropriate just enough money to pay government employees. Members of both parties express support for that general concept. Amy Kiley reports they can't just agree on which workers to include.
You got to save every dime at this point.
The Senate could vote this week on a bill to pay essential federal employees during the government shutdown. They're not on furlough and instead are working without paychecks.
They are trying to make their mortgage payments. They're trying to put food on the table.
It's unclear if the bill from GOP Senator Ron Johnson has enough support to pass. At least one Republican argues it could reduce the pressure to reopen the government.
The military should be getting paid and law enforcement should be getting paid. Those are the two entities that you need. Everybody else, shut it off.
Some Senate Democrats say they want to pay all federal workers, not just those the Trump administration deems essential.
I'd be in favor of paying the federal workers. That bill, unfortunately, gives a lot of latitude to the president to pick and choose.
You'll see a Democratic counterproposal that is an even-handed approach.
Meanwhile, many federal workers are struggling to make ends meet. This video shows a D.C. area food bank event that was aimed at government employees. Some who attended it Tuesday say they waited 2 hours in a line that stretched around the block.
I can't believe I'm here, because you always thought that getting a government job or, a federal job, that's security.
Rent, car note, car insurance, student loans. Those are not stopping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The government shutdown hit its 22nd day, making it the second longest in U.S. history. It's affecting all aspects of the U.S. economy, including the dreams of many homebuyers. Lee Waldman gives us more information about the shutdown's effect on the housing market.
Of course, the government shut down, and so my lender got back in touch with me, and she said, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to close until the USDA reopens.
Chase Franklin had everything set for his move from North Dakota to Kansas, including a U.S. Department of Agriculture-backed mortgage to buy a home. Now that plan has come to a screeching halt.
There was a full gamut of emotions. I mean, there was anger, there was frustration. There was like, why is this happening now?
He's not alone. Anthony Smith, a senior economist with Realtor.com, says homebuyers all over the U.S. are feeling the impact of the shutdown.
It will be a difficult position to be put in as a first-time homebuyer because that's going to be really one of the biggest cohorts that are going to be impacted by this.
Before the shutdown, the skyrocketing prices of homes brought the housing industry to a slowdown. But the first government shutdown in nearly 7 years is impacting both rural and urban areas.
The housing market was definitely somewhat frigid, and so this adds more chill to a situation that didn't need any more cooling off altogether.
The longer this shutdown stretches on, Smith says the greater impact it's going to have on the industry as a whole and the more uncertainty it will breed. As for Franklin, he's got a clear message to the lawmakers in D.C.
Recognize that the decisions that you are making are impacting far more people than you realize. and that the decisions that you're making are also affecting voters who will remember this when it comes around to election season.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams endorses independent candidate Andrew Cuomo to replace him as the next mayor of New York City. A spokesperson for Adams says he will campaign with Cuomo, who he previously called a snake and a liar. The endorsement comes after Cuomo's final debate performance yesterday. It's not clear what impact Adams' endorsement will have on the race. When he dropped out, Adams was polling in 4th place behind Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, Cuomo, and Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa. Coming up, oil prices face a sharp increase as global supply concerns grow.
And multiple brands are issuing a recall for over 6 million eggs for salmonella concerns.
We had a pretty chilly day today, but will these conditions stay around? Be sure to watch Newswatch to find out.
From the hills of Montana comes an extraordinary feat of filmmaking. Over 10 years, 150 remote cameras recorded a tapestry of creatures. The star of this story is a remarkable mountain lion, a dedicated mother, raising 6 cubs on her own. This is Willow.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
Holy. Across the globe, devastating flash floods are becoming more common.
We're seeing extreme rainfall events, which I fear is a harbinger of things to come.
What's causing this rise? And what can we do to prevent disaster?
When we have a good flood forecasting and warning system, lives are saved.
Super floods on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
You are ready to go.
Did you get that? That is incredible.
We are a part of a revolution.
That, for me, is so exciting.
Okay, guys, I've seen a lot of jackets around on campus, and I want to know if we can expect more of that.
It was definitely a chilly day today. Again, like you said, a lot of jackets, a lot of sweatpants. People are really gearing up for this upcoming winter season. Even though we're still in fall, things are getting pretty cold pretty fast. And we also had a lot of wind today. Yes. I don't know if you guys noticed that too, just walking around, but it was pretty windy this afternoon. But luckily, that's going to be dying down.
Yeah, I've still kind of got that windswept look in my hair. But, you know, it's been pretty dry too recently. You know, is it going to break up anytime soon? We're going to see any rain, maybe snow?
Well, no snow for us, unfortunately. I love the snow. But we are looking at our future forecast, and we do have a couple of showers on, but that's going to be later in the week. But in the meantime, it is pretty chilly outside. Like you said, we have that freeze warning and that frost advisory issued throughout various parts of Ohio. Now, that's going to be through about 9 a.m., and the main difference between the two is really a slight degree. So that frost advisory is we're looking at about the mid-30s of that threshold for that temperature. So that's about 33 degrees to about 36 to 38 degrees versus our freeze warning. That's going to be a bit colder. So that's a 32 degree or below threshold. So that's what we're seeing here in the southern part of the state and into West Virginia and Kentucky. And that's where we see that freeze warning again till about 9 a.m. So if you have any plants that are sensitive to those colder conditions outside, you definitely are going to want to bring them inside. Now for our day today, we had a high of about 57 degrees, so definitely on the cooler side of things with mostly sunny skies. And tonight, like we just said, it's going to get pretty cold outside, about 32 degrees. Excuse me. Now, part of the reason we had a lot of this cold weather is we had this cold front that kind of swept through the northern part of the state, but we're also having this high pressure that's sort of banding together here and dipping down through the Midwest, Great Plains, and down into the Ohio belt down here. We're going to be seeing a lot of cold weather push towards us, and we see that really well with our temperature map, where we're seeing these 50s kind of drag down into the area. Now, normally when we look at high pressure, it's very big, very extensive, but this one's sort of going to be small for a little bit, and then it's going to really start to build up as the week continues on. But for tonight, we're going to continue to see mostly clear skies. Again, very cold outside, about 32 degrees for that overnight low that we can expect. And tonight we'll see that high pressure start to scoot into our region a little bit more, but something I do want to take note of is this low pressure that's sitting down in the southern part of the U.S. and this low pressure with this warm front that's beginning to develop in the Midwest, because that's going to be causing a couple of rain showers possibly into next week. Now, tomorrow we'll see the effects of that high pressure with those mostly sunny skies, high of about 57, identical to today. And then tomorrow, again, the high pressure is really going to start to scoot into the area more, but it's not going to have a lot of control for very long, because this low pressure and this frontal system is really going to be developing here in the south. And what that's going to do is it's going to start making its way towards us. And so on Saturday, we won't see the effects of it. So any sports games going on this weekend, you should be in the clear. Just make sure to grab the jacket because it'll be a little chilly out. But this low pressure is going to start scooting into the area, as well as this one up to the north. That's going to start making its way down. They're going to kind of create this little sandwich around us, so that when we go into next week, we see a lot of cloud coverage and a lot of rain on our forecast throughout next week. And that's because of those two low pressure systems. They're going to be hanging around our area for a while. They're going to sort of stall out. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as the weekend continues.
Thanks, Emily. Oil prices rose sharply as traders worry about a squeeze on global supply after the U.S. imposed sanctions on 2 Russian oil companies. The sanctions are an effort to end the war in Ukraine. In a statement, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called on Russian President Vladimir Putin to agree to an immediate ceasefire. Russia's foreign ministry criticized sanctions, calling them entirely counterproductive. Tesla is recalling more than 76,000 electric vehicles for safety concerns. Among the recalled are 2025 Model 3, 2026 Model Y, and Cybertruck 2024 through 2025. The reasons for the recall range from faulty battery packs to software issues. More information is available at nhtsa.gov.
Current and former NBA players, as well as a head coach, were arrested in connection with the 2 federal gambling investigations. The FBI says the criminal enterprise involved tens of millions of dollars and was connected to several New York mafia families. Michael Yoshida has more.
This is the insider trading saga for the NBA.
Dozens, including several current and former NBA players and a coach, arrested in connection with years-long illegal gambling operations. Charges include money laundering, wire fraud, even armed robbery.
One of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States.
Prosecutors say 6 people, including Miami Heat player Terry Rozier, helped rig games with sports bettors. In one instance, they allege Rozier faked an injury.
Members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit.
Through his lawyers, Rozier denied any wrongdoing. In the second alleged scheme, prosecutors say 31 people, including members of 3 New York Mafia families, as well as Chauncey Billups, an NBA Hall of Famer and champion, and current Portland Trailblazers head coach, were involved in illegal fixed poker games held across the country.
Exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families.
Prosecutors say victims, called Fish, were lured to play alongside high-profile athletes called face cards, and everyone but the victims was in on the scam, using rigged shuffling machines, poker chip analyzers, x-ray tables, and even special contact lenses and eyeglasses to read marked cards.
Your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
The American Heart Association is issuing an update to its CPR guidelines. The AHA CPR guidelines are meant to help everyday people respond in emergencies like cardiac arrest, overdose, or choking. Dr. Ashish Panchal with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is one of the writers of the updated guidelines, which begins with new guidance on choking in conscious children and adults.
Get them breathing again. Infants, we do 5 back blows
and 5 chest thrusts with the heel of your arm to relieve that foreign body. And this is the way that we could actually get them breathing again.
The updated guidelines are also set to include a new set of rules for treating people with suspected opioid overdose, which includes spreading awareness about when to use naloxone, which can be given to reverse an overdose.
A major recall from the FDA and its more than 6 million eggs because of possible salmonella contamination. FDA officials say the Black Sheep Egg Company recalled hundreds of thousands of egg cartons after testing found 7 strains of salmonella. The eggs were distributed nationwide under various brand names. Separately, Ken's Hens is also recalling a portion of their egg products for the same concern. Consumers are advised to return the eggs to the store for a full refund.
All right, on this week's 2-minute drill, it's week 10, the final week of the regular season. Josh, we got plenty of conference races to go through.
Yeah, but Grant, before we get into that, we got a historic performance that we absolutely have to talk about coming up next.
Nothing like a Revolutionary War had been fought. It's a radical idea.
Ordinary Americans won the war. I don't think you can be patriotic enough about them.
Everyone's convinced the virtue of the cause is helping them win.
Perhaps ever before.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
At least 3 gunshots and none of you heard anything. Lies. House is full of lies. Did you see who shot him?
Why don't you tell me? You're the detective.
I trusted you. You're doing everything you can. Don't you judge me.
My job is to understand, not judge. You're like a jackal. Let others do the killing and wait for the scraps.
Negre on Masterpiece Mystery.
Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
Make way for the Queen. The people love you. This is not a request.
Yes, Your Majesty.
All right, who would have thought? Final week of the regular season's here. The stakes don't get higher than this, but Josh, let's flash back to last week first before we get into the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, Grant, that performance last week was certainly a historic one, so let's go ahead and start that clock right now. Eric Manley Jr. absolutely went off against South Galley. You see the numbers on your screen, over 550 yards and 10 touchdowns, and that 10 touchdown number tied an OHSAA record. This Eastern team is known for airing it out, and Manley's arm and playmaking ability makes it so much easier to do so.
Yeah, what a game from him. Let's go ahead and run through some conference races that can be decided outright this week. Let's go ahead and start in the Frontier Athletic Conference.
Yeah, Jackson clinched the share last week after that huge win against Miami Trace, but the Panthers and Jackson's opponent this week, Chillicothe, aren't out just yet. Chillicothe is going to need a win this week against Jackson, and if Miami Trace is able to beat Washington Courthouse, there would be a 3-team tie at the top.
All right, let's go ahead to the SOC2. Wheelersburg's dominated all year long, but Portsmouth West is upset-minded.
Yeah, but it certainly has been a dominant year for the Pirates so far this season. This shouldn't be much of a challenge, but there have been a couple times when Portsmouth West has gotten the better of Wheelersburg, like in 2022. This Wheelersburg team, though, 1 win away from an undefeated regular season.
All right, here's our last one that will, no matter what, be decided outright this week. It's the TVC Ohio.
Yeah, it's really been blowouts galore for NY and Athens so far this season. And you know what, Grant? Now it's finally time, best on best, to go against each other this week.
Yeah, not only is this game of the week, Josh, it has a game of the year type feeling to it.
Yeah, Grant, so much is on the line. Athens hasn't really been challenged yet, and this is their best opponent they're going to see all season long. NY hasn't seen a team as good as Athens in several weeks, too. We saw that thriller week 5 against Waterford, and last year in this game, the stakes were very similar. Athens was favored a little bit more than NY. NY put off a little bit of an upset on the goal line. The Dakota Cunningham touchdown sealed it. This year, though, both teams undefeated, solo TVC title on the line. Could you get any better than this? It's week 10, undefeated. Grant, it certainly seems to just mean more. Let's end that timer, but we've still got some more action for you.
Plenty more action, no kidding there. Speaking of that, it's a big one on Gridiron Glory this week, as we have not one but 2 shows. Friday night, we're going live from Athens High School from the game we just talked about. Then Sunday night at 11 p.m., we're going to do a full playoff breakdown. It's going to re-air at 6 p.m. on Monday on WOUB.
Still ahead, the Nikon Comedy Wildlife Awards finalists have been announced for this year.
Here's what's coming up next.
We're on the precipice of a great discovery. I love it.
Welcome!
Whoa, Nelly!
Let's set this palace
On fire.
I love it.
Welcome to the News Hour.
What does it mean politically?
Oh.
Fasten your seatbelt. I love it. I love it. Delighted to hear it. You make a good team.
The landscape in Texas is changing all over the state.
Once development comes on this island, the habitat's gone.
I went on Airbnb and somebody's renting a piece of dirt.
I mean, what is Texas without cattle ranches?
If taxes get too high, we will have to close this place.
Something needed to be done.
This is a part of my history that I didn't know. I was like, I have to write about this.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help give back this month by donating your used car, truck, RV, or boat to our station. Donating is easy and it's tax deductible. Just call this toll-free number, schedule your free pickup, we'll tow it and give you a donation receipt. Can't donate a car? Spread the word by telling your friends or family. Learn more by calling this toll-free number or visiting us online.
Judges for the Nikon Comedy Wildlife Awards announced this year's finalists. Judges selected just 40 images from the 10,000 total entries. The finalist shots include a dancing gorilla, laughing lions, a drowsy frog, and a squirrel having a bad hair day. The winners will be announced December 9th at a ceremony in London. The public will also be able to cast their vote for which photo they think should win the People's Choice Award.
Therapy dogs are bringing Halloween fun to a hospital in West Virginia. Therapy dogs dressed in Halloween costume visited young patients, families, and staff at Charleston Area Medical Center. The dogs brought decorated pumpkins and balloons as gifts to young patients. Hospital staff say these seasonal visits aren't just fun, they're a way to lift spirits and bring the community together. A lot of great costumes there. What's your guys' favorite costume you've ever seen?
I've seen, my dog has been a school bus, and I thought that was pretty hilarious. Yes.
Yeah, we never dressed up our dogs. Honestly, I think missed opportunity. Big dogs, you know, a little bit of extra fun there. But I just remember somebody when I was in elementary school dressed up as a goldfish. It was crazy.
Well, very interesting.
A little bit of a weird one. But, you know, for this Halloween weekend, what kind of weather are we going to be seeing?
Absolutely. Well, tonight we're going to be seeing that frost warning and, that frost advisory and that freeze warning really throughout the state of Ohio. And that's because we have a lot of cold weather coming up on our way. Now, tomorrow we're going to be seeing conditions very similar to today. We have that high of 57, low of 32, so we can expect more frost advisories and freeze warnings to be issued tomorrow, but at least we'll be seeing some sunny skies. Now, the next 7 days, we're going to be seeing very similar conditions across the board in terms of our temperatures, but next week, that's where we get a little dicey with the cloud coverage really starting to move in and a lot of rain on our forecast. And that's going to be scattered showers because we're going to be seeing this low pressure system that's going to be moving into the area and sort of stalling out. So we're really anticipating a decent amount of rainfall going into next week.
That does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz, I'm Charlie Ehlenfeld.
And I'm Parker Davis. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.